Let them know you listen to WBOK New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
Join New Schools for New Orleans, All-State Sugar Bowl, and Integy New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 4th annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. The gala will take place Saturday, November 1st at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. This year's gala will feature New Orleans legend DJ Jubilee. Don't miss out on this intimate celebration supporting our New Orleans public school teachers. Tickets can be purchased on our website, newschoolsforneworleans.org.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with BIN News Now. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, a black man, is speaking out against the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey. Jeffries called it a, quote, disgraceful attack on the rule of law, end quote, in his statement. Comey was indicted related to his testimony before the Senate in 2020. Leaders from several Latino organizations said the victims of the deadly ICE facility shooting in Dallas, Texas, are being overlooked and urge ICE to give families access to state victim programs. TikTok will continue to operate in the U.S., which will benefit many black users and black content creators. President Trump signed an executive order to approve a deal that allows a Chinese company to sell the social media platform.
I had a very good talk with President Xi. A lot of respect for him. Hopefully he has a lot of respect for me too. But we talked about TikTok and he gave us the go-ahead.
Get BIN News Now on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Chief Eddie Campas in your Hornet shirt. Oh my goodness. Old school. It's Friday. We made it through the week. Monday, Tuesday, hump day. Thursday and Friday. Yay. So some of us got a little work to do today before we start enjoying the weekend. But I'm looking forward to my weekend. I think I'm going to start my weekend about 4:30, 5:30, something like that. When you starting your weekend?
Well, I'm going to start it Saturday morning. I'm going to Pastor Barrier's church, and I want to hear Pastor Everett speak. He's a powerful speaker.
He is such a powerful speaker. Pastor Everett. Who?
Oh, and I want to thank Bishop Brister and his wife, Dr. Brister, for the award that they gave me last Sunday. It was really, really a special day for me. And Bishop Brister and I have a long-standing relationship that goes almost 3 decades. So I want to really publicly thank them for honoring me, and I really, really appreciate it.
Fabulous. Well, I am not sure what I'm going to do this evening, but I know we have the Black Americana Film Festival is this weekend, and of course our friends at the Amistad Research Center have the vinyl party over at the Dewdrop Inn tonight. That's 5:30 to 8 p.m. for those who want to support the Amistad Research Center because, you know, they had some big cuts, and they have recovered from that, but they certainly have bounced back with, I think, $1.7 million in a short period of time since the early summer when the federal cuts came through. And now they're looking to build toward the future, and they have a fundraiser tonight at the Dewdrop Inn, 5:30 p.m. until 8. So check that out. For those who are the married men in the house among the WBOK listenership, it takes work. Sometimes we got to do more than our wives do to kind of keep it together. And Franklin Avenue Baptist Church is having a men's marriage ministry program Saturday morning at 9. And if you're interested in that, shoot a note or give Franklin Avenue a call. And it's not restricted to men who are members. So if you're interested in that, that's going to be happening on Saturday morning. And there will be a number of other things happening. I know the Omegas, my frat, they're having a blood drive.
Little ting for y'all.
Yeah, so that's gonna be happening as well. And I know there's just a host of things, and so we're kicking that off this way to let you know that we want to know about your events that are coming up this weekend. So give us a call on the WBOK 1230 AM talk line, 504-582 9422, 504-582-9422. We've got news and information that you want to hear, might want to hear, should hear. And we're going to have Kevin Lester from the Home Bank talking about financial literacy and why it matters. So that's going to be coming up in the show as well. And yes, we will have more on the campaign front and see what's going on there. And we've got quite a number of things to share with you today. And I know you've got stuff that you can share with us. So if you listened yesterday, yes, we still want to hear you. The number is 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. What's that number, Chief?
504-582-9422.
All righty. So, we got a big date coming up. That is October 11th, and that's going to be Election Day. That is Election Day, October 11th. So that's a very important election in Orleans Parish, but there are other places where there is voting coming up. But across the state, and in Orleans in particular, there is early voting. Early voting is happening starting this weekend. So early voting is starting tomorrow. That is September 27th, and that will continue through October 4th. Early voting, September 27th through October 4th. In Orleans Parish, you can do early voting. You can't go to your regular voting place, but you can do take care of your early voting at City Hall at 1300 Perdido in room 1W24. City Hall, 1300 Perdido Street, room 1W24, and they'll be ready to receive you, get you in and get you out. Of course, there's always a matter of where you park. But give yourself enough time, and you don't have to rush. And that's a place you can vote, and that is from 8:30 a.m. till 6 p.m. Over in Algiers, if you work in Algiers, live in Algiers, play in Algiers, the Algiers Courthouse is the place where you can go and vote, and that is 225 Morgan Street, room 105. Algiers Courthouse, 225 Morgan Street, room 105. And over at Lake Vista, so, there's those lakefront neighborhoods, and the one neighborhood where you can early vote. And you don't have to live along the lakefront to vote over there. So a lot of people go over there for one reason, because it's easy to park.
Right.
It's easy to park. And there's an elevator and the stairs option to get upstairs, because over there, you have to go upstairs to vote. Lake Vista Community Center, 6500 Spanish Fort Boulevard. For those of you unfamiliar with that, just put that into your GPS, your Waze, or your Google, or whatever you use for directions. The Lake Vista Community Center, 6500 Spanish Fort Boulevard. And there's a spot over on Chef Ventura Highway, and that is at the Voting Machine Warehouse, another place where it is easy to park. So you don't have to worry about where you're going to park, whether you're going to get a ticket. I mean, the parking lot is huge. So you can go to Voting Machine Warehouse at 8870 Chef Ventura Highway. And each of those locations has early voting open from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Each day, September 27th through October 4th, except Sundays and state holidays. So those are your 4 locations in Orleans Parish where you can vote. And there are places to vote. You have some things to vote on over in Jefferson Parish. So on the East Bank, you can do your early voting at Joseph Yenny Building office. That's at 1221 Elmwood Park Boulevard, Suite 502. Joseph S. Yenny Building, and that's at 1221 Elmwood Park Boulevard, Suite 502. And you can also vote over at Kenner office, that's in Rivertown, 408 Minor Street in Kenner. Kenner office for early voting, 408 Minor Street in Kenner. So that's another place where you can vote if you're in Jefferson Parish on the East Bank. But for those of you on the West Bank of Jefferson Parish, you can vote at Charles Odom Building office in Marrero at 5001 West Bank Expressway, 5001 West Bank Expressway, Suite C2, Suite C2. Charles Odom Building office in Marrero, 5001 West Bank Expressway, Suite C2. And you can also vote at the West Bank Regional Library. That's in Harvey, and that's at 2751 Manhattan Boulevard. West Bank Regional Library in Harvey, 2751 Manhattan Boulevard. So there's some other early voting locations in other parishes, but I wanted to make sure we hit Orleans and Jefferson for sure. I want to encourage you to get out and vote. The early voting is 8:30 till 6 p.m. Real easy to do. Know what you're doing before you go, and you won't have to spend as much time in there. And when you get in there, you'll probably be done in less than 3 minutes, and in probably less than 2 or a minute and a half if you really know what you're going to do. So early voting starts tomorrow, Chief, September 27th, and it ends on October 4th.
Well, I'm definitely voting tomorrow. Definitely.
Tomorrow's your day.
Tomorrow's my day. I'm going to the voting, and I'm going straight by Pastor Barry. You know, when we talk about African-American representation in the political arena, we need to understand that we control the vote. We cannot stand on the sidelines and complain that we're not represented in these various elections, in these various positions, if we don't get out and vote. You know, we understand that there are people from all nationalities, from all basically socioeconomic positions that's running for public office. Our vote controls who gets in. When we stand on the sidelines and complain and we don't vote, we have no palpable argument to complain about. When we give you information, we give you sage advice on actual processes, on where you can go and vote at, how you can vote, the different options that you have, the forums to educate you. So we, as a radio station with an agenda to educate our community, our African-American community too, as our African-American community, but the city as a whole, and we want you to understand that you have the power. You have the ability to change the destiny and direction of a community and of a city. So when you don't vote, you're shirking your responsibilities for that. Like I always say, people have died for the right to vote. People have sacrificed their entire life, their careers, to give us the right to vote. It's not difficult to vote. You have no impediments to stop you from voting. The only thing is you have to take the responsibility of being informed, looking at all the candidates. Does it match your ideology? Whilst being a city that's predominantly African American, have the individuals that we are voting for been receptive to the needs of African Americans in the past? Do they have a history and a record of helping our people? And you take all factors into consideration. Endorsements are important in some respects, but the greatest endorsement is your commonsensical approach to this election. Polls give us a tangible gauge to a certain extent on, who's in the lead and things such as this. But as I've recalled, when Ray Nagin won, he started out polling at like 5%. Mayor Cantrell, she wasn't the front runner. Late in the campaign, she wasn't the front runner. So the destiny of this city is in the hands of you. And when you think about who you want, think about it from this perspective. This is really not a 4-year commitment. This is an 8-year commitment. In recent history, I cannot remember of any mayor who was elected that did not get a second term. Mm-hmm. So when you go to vote, think about where you want to be
for the next 8 years.
Next 8 years, not the next 4.
And whoever the mayor is, there will be a challenge. There will be a challenge. But you're talking about historically what happens in recent history.
Recent history, like I said, I got education you can't put a price tag on. Louis Charbonnet hired me, and Bunny Charbonnet was my supervisor. I was 12 years old. And then I met Don Hubbard, one of the greatest men I've ever met in my entire life, who taught me what politics was about being a man of integrity and standing up. And then Jerome Smith got a hold of me from the grassroots part. So I learned from giants about this political process. And that's why I can speak from facts, from experiences, not from innuendo, supposition, and conjecture, from facts. And when I speak things, I don't say them capriciously, arbitrarily, or vicariously. I'm deliberate because this is really important to me. This microphone gives me ability to reach the people of the city of New Orleans and let them know, how I feel about things. And I'm sincere, I'm passionate, and I love my city. And I want everybody to understand that. I want us to understand the power we have and use it accordingly.
All right. Absolutely, positively, Chief. You're right about that. I mean, it's so important, and it's one thing for people to complain about what's happening and what's not happening, and they should do this and they should do that. Well, here's your opportunity. In the case of an incumbent, evaluate the job that they have done in the current term and decide if that's who you want to continue to work on your behalf. In the case of an incumbent and their challengers, decide if there's somebody else who looks better to you for whatever reason to do a better job than the incumbent. And in the case of an open seat, wide open for you to determine who is your leader. And remember, when you are voting in this election in Orleans Parish, in New Orleans, the city of New Orleans, you can vote for mayor, assessor, sheriff, clerk. You can vote for your city council district representative. You can vote for your city council at large representatives. And at a minimum, you are voting for at least 2 votes on city council. 3 votes on city council. You're voting for 2 at-large candidates and your district candidate. So that's 3 votes for whatever you care about most. And they only need 1 more to have a majority. So that whoever that is, maybe that's going to come from your mama or from your auntie, and that's 4 votes. And so you can have an impact in the future of New Orleans by voting on those offices. And, of course, the big one is mayor. Open seat because LaToya Cantrell is ending her 2nd term, and there will be a new mayor. The matter of fact is there will be a new mayor that will be determined on October 11th if someone wins outright, and if no one gets that 51%, then there will be a runoff in November. Too late to register to vote in the October election, not too late to vote to register to vote in the November election. So you've heard us talk about voter registration. Keep that in mind. It is not too late to register to vote. You just can't vote in the October 11th election. And we'll be hearing more about the campaign and politics today because we're going to have Anitra Brown and from the New Orleans Tribune and Jeff Thomas from Think 504. And they're going to mix it up with us, and that'll be coming after the break. And we'll be hearing we expect to be hearing from some mayoral candidates too. So stay tuned to the Good Morning Show. It's 7:22 a.m. You got to be there at 7:30. You just might make it. Get your stuff together and be safe out on those streets and highways. No speeding.
No speeding.
No speeding. No speeding.
No matter how late you are.
Yep. Take your time. 7:22 a.m. It's WBOK 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Historically black colleges and universities are responsible for a lot of black professionals across industries. For example, the United Negro College Fund says that HBCUs produce around 70% of all black doctors. Data like that backs up Marcus Shaw's belief that HBCUs are key to elevating young black people into high-paying jobs. His organization, Alt Finance, focuses on sending young black talent to Wall Street. One roadblock in that pathway? Shaw says it just comes down to awareness.
For many of our students, they don't have a lot of transparency or a lot of clarity around what a career in alternative investments would look like. And so creating that exposure and some of that co-education around how to manage a career, moving from banking to private equity, is something that's very new to students.
Marcus Shaw's Alt Finance is one organization looking to clear the pathway for success for young black people. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Pro Savings Days are back at Lowe's. My Lowe's Pro Rewards members save even more with limited-time doorbuster deals. Save $5 on 24-count Contractor's Choice 42-gallon trash bags, now just $14.78. Plus, get your choice DeWalt Elite Series saw blades for $9.98. Not a Pro Rewards member? Join for free today at Lowe's. Valid through 9/17. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
Attention, WBOK listeners. Are you a fan of the station and want to show your support and style? Well, we've got some exciting news for you. Introducing the official WBOK merchandise, the perfect way to wear your love for the station. Whether you're a longtime listener or a new fan, we've got something for everyone. Head to WBOK1230.com now and grab your WBOK gear before it's gone. When you buy WBOK merch, you're not just getting quality items, you're supporting the station you love.
Our future in District Key is bright with Cindy Wynn. From Lincoln Beach to Lake Forest Manor to the high rise, Cindy has created real economic opportunities and stronger neighborhoods. She's just not talking about change, she embodies it. From cleanups to youth programs to bringing business back, Cindy's been hands-on every step of the way. With a proven record of results, she'll be ready to work on day one. On October 11th, let's keep the momentum going. Let's bring her back. Vote Cindy Wynn for City Council District E, because together we can finish the work.
I'm Cindy Wynn, and I approve this message.
Hear that? For too long, fixing our streets and drainage has only meant inconvenience and empty promises. This is Matthew Willard. I'm running for Council at Large, Division 1, to really fix our city so we spend less time dodging potholes and street flooding and more time cheering on the Saints. As a state legislator, I've proven I can deliver. At City Hall, I'll build on that record. Paid for by the Matthew Willard campaign.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. This is WBOK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. What's that number, Chief?
504-582-9422.
You're hearing our voices, and we would like to hear yours each and every day here on the Good Morning Show, weekdays, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. It is 7:28 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 7:30? Well, I hope it's on the other side of your bed, because you're going to be late. You're going to be late. But hopefully, if you got to be somewhere for 7:40, 7:45, you got a little bit more time, depending on how far you have to go. But, you know, in New Orleans, everything's 15 to 20 minutes away. So I hope yours is 15 or less if you got to be there for 7:45. Of course, 8 o'clock, that's a whole different story. But always keep in mind that you never know where there might be a detour or a accident, or watch out for those potholes.
Oh, yeah.
Watch out for those potholes. We're going to be jumping into conversation with Anitra Brown from the New Orleans Tribune. And, you know, we got so much going on, and we got to count on folks like Sister Anitra to watch what's happening. And so she's been watching it. Their newspaper, the Tribune, has been watching it, and she's going to talk with us right now. Good morning. How are you, sister?
Oh.
Anitra? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Fabulous, fabulous. So what's happening over at the New Orleans Tribune? Still going strong, right?
Still going strong, 40 years, and definitely watching what is happening in New Orleans right now as it relates to politics and our community.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that is important, of course, I have my my job at the Times-Picayune, NOLA.com, and then I do this thing at our black radio station at WBOK. And one of the most important things in our community is paying attention to what's going on through a black lens. And
Absolutely.
And with the New Orleans Tribune, that is one way that we can do that. And I hope our listeners who haven't been looking recently go ahead and get a copy and go online and check out New Orleans Tribune, because they got a thing they like to say. Somebody got to say it.
Somebody has to say it, and if we will. That is our motto.
Yep. So as you see it, Anitra, and you and your team, let's start with some of the different races. But before we do that, can you give us an overview, and maybe we can jump into some of the races and get your perspective on where we stand at this moment, because there's so many things that can change day by day. So give us your overview.
So, our overview is, and I think we've been pretty clear in stating this in our commentary and editorial, is that New Orleans, particularly Black New Orleans, has been watching and taking part in what we consider to be an effort to diminish and marginalize, Black leadership.
Take your time.
For the sole purpose of impacting this municipal election. We have been adamant about that, and so with that, we cautioned our followers, our readers, and the Black community at large to be wary of narratives that cause you to question, doubt, or ridicule Black leadership, to be able to understand what is pertinent to this election and what may simply be a narrative that's being spun in order to diminish Black political agency. And we have been vocal and quite frankly are very clear on seeing that happen for the last several years as it relates to what has taken place on the political scene with leadership in general in our city. And so as we go into this election season, with early voting starting tomorrow, we just want to make sure that our readers and followers understand that things aren't always as they seem, and that there are efforts that are specifically designed to marginalize Black political agency. And we can't give that up. We as a community, as a city that is still majority African American, we cannot be so willing to give up whatever agency in the political arena that we hold.
Chief has a comment or question.
Yeah, how you doing, Anitra?
I'm well. How are you?
And I always wanted to thank you guys for how fair you always were with me when I was in office. I really appreciate that. Growing up in a political environment since I was a kid, I always talk about it because, like I said, I look at things and I've learned from giants. One of the things that when a campaign was being formed, I remember when Louis Charbonnet was running for state representative, the first campaign I got involved with. He said we have to be intentional and deliberate with this campaign and who we want to reach out to. And part of that is actually where do you put your money as it relates to your advertising? Where do you put your money as it relates to what radio stations you use? What type of newspapers you use, you advertise in? And, when you think about this as a Black radio station, think about who is supporting this Black radio station with their candidacy. And I think that's a very important indication on what type of leader they will be if they get in office, the way they go about getting in office. Do you agree with that?
Sure, I think that's important.
Because when you look at it from the perspective, we want to reach out to the entire community, but our radio station, our listening audience for the most part is predominantly African American. And, if you want to get your message out, this is a venue to do it. So if someone puts a campaign together and don't include the station, that's something that you got to think about.
And other black media like New Orleans Tribune.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's across the board when you look at black-owned media and advertising. If you want to reach the black community with a message that makes it clear to them that you're speaking to them, you do it through black-owned media. So.
All right, so let's take some offices while we got a little time with you. How do you see the assessors race? We got an incumbent, long-term incumbent, Mr. Errol Williams, and he's got some challenges. How do you see that going at this point? Nobody is guaranteed an election. You have to run each time, even if you have the opportunity to run multiple times, which you can in terms of the assessor seat.
So let me start off by simply saying I do not call elections, but and I can't call them.
Right.
So you never know what's going to happen, right? With that said, you do have a long time incumbent. Do I necessarily see any of the challengers in this race being able to get up enough momentum to best our incumbent assessor? It's probably not likely, but who knows?
All right. And how about in the clerk's race?
I think I would probably say something similar for the clerk's race, although, I have seen some in terms of watching some of the other candidates, not the incumbent, but some of the other challengers. I've seen people run good campaigns, good races, vocal, getting out to the people. So, again, those are races I simply cannot call. Of course, incumbents always typically have a slight edge in some cases, but look, incumbents can get bested. So you never know. But again, I kind of see that one, just voter patterns, right? We go, right. We look, the name is familiar. So I kind of see that one. It would be the current clerk of criminal courts, Race Toulouse.
Okay. And let's just check in on city council broadly. So pick any of those races that you think are particularly interesting or that you think that you encourage your readers and others to pay particular attention to.
Right, sure. So I always see, and when I think about particularly our readers, I'm looking at the race in District D, and then the both at-large races, and the race in District E, and I'll tell you why. E, we have a race where there is no incumbent, right? So anytime you have an open race like that, it can be interesting. We have some candidates who I think are, you have a former city councilwoman in Cindy Wynn. You have a
city and state rep.
I was going to say state lawmaker. And so, you have an interesting mix of candidates, I think, who bring experience and, for what it's worth, name recognition. So that's an interesting race to watch and see what happens. D, because you have, while you do have an incumbent in that race, I think you also have some interesting challenges in that race. And then, of course, those at-large positions. So you have one at-large position. It's a wide open race. And you have
State Representative Delisha Boyd.
Again, we have Delisha Boyd, and you have another state legislator in Matthew Willard.
And then Matt Hill.
Right. So you have an interesting race with viable candidates in that race as well. And I'm also interested in what's happening with the other at-large seat, although you have an incumbent, which, again, like I said, typically provides some kind of edge. I think that there's a solid challenge in that race, and I also think that it would be an opportunity for the people of New Orleans, the voting public, to really speak to whether or not they are satisfied with the direction that City Council is going, and if they want to see change, that would definitely be a race to speak speak that into existence with their votes. So those are all races that I think are very interesting. And then, of course, you know, we haven't talked about it, but the mayoral race is definitely
bring it on.
the race to watch. And so with that one, you know, again, we have a wide open race, and that's exactly how I see it. I don't see front runners. I think that there is, you know, there's the narrative that's very widespread and that we see and that we hear. But I think if your ear is close to the ground and you're listening to what the community is saying, and people who don't always have a platform or a microphone, if you listen to what they're saying, I think that race is not a done deal, and it's one that I think we need to ensure that the residents and voters are encouraged to not buy into any narrative that it is a done deal, and be encouraged to go and make sure they vote from the top of that ballot to the very bottom. What we don't want to happen is apathy and acquiescence. So what I say is pay attention to what's going on around you, and don't be led or misled to just vote in because that's what you think is the prevailing narrative. Vote based on what's important to you and your community. So.
Yeah, Nitra, before in the opening segment, you know, I alluded to the fact that Ray Nagin and Mayor Cantrell were both not favorites late into the election, and they both wound up winning because, like you said, those polling things sometimes they can be misinterpreted.
Can be misleading and purposefully misleading. We wrote a piece early on, a few months ago, where we said that, you know, it's a mayoral race. It's not a coronation. You know, this is we're calling front runners 3 and 4 months ahead, and that changes how people view things when we do things like that. When the mainstream media, you know, basically announces this is the front runner, this is the leader, this is the person with the most money, and it can cause your electorate to react in ways that are not conducive for democracy, quite frankly. So, we don't know what's going to happen. I don't like calling front runners. I like to wait till, as the saying goes, the fat lady sings, and so I want to, you know, this is voters. People go to the polls.
You know when you
I want to wait and see what they do.
When you talk about it from an analytical standpoint, when you talk about a poll, that's just a one shot. That's not a longitudinal research. That's a one shot.
It's a one shot, and it's a small snapshot. How many people did you really call? Where was who did you call, and where, you know, where do they live? And so I you know, and I get the science behind polls and samples and things like that, but you're never going to convince me that the 682 people you call represent an entire city. Like, no.
All right, we've got a call. Reverend Wallace, you're on the line with Anitra Brown from the New Orleans Tribune.
First of all, good morning to you all, and to Ms. Coppins and to Ms. Anitra Brown. I totally agree with her. Sending out false scenarios as though someone, you went from 47%, then you go to 50, then you go to 51. It's a false scenario. It's a glimpse in a moment of putting the best foot forward. I mean, a person that's scared run with all the assurance that they're going to win. But you can see the dynamics of a change. You see this young man just came in, Mr. Januta, with 7%, a Republican. So that's not good for Ms. Elena Moreno, because I just think a lot of votes going to go to him from the Republican. She's going to lose some votes there. Her number is falling continually, but they're not reporting it. I just think that the race will go down. It will be a runoff. I think if people do what they say, I'm out in the neighborhood, in the community, talking to people, and I think, you know, people looking at the race and saying what's best for them. And they want someone that they can identify with, someone that has the heart of the city at stake. And I think the two qualified, certainly Oliver and Duplessis do have that at heart. I think if we put Ms. Elena Moreno, that we also multi-jurisdictional bringing in people from other parishes that will run the city of New Orleans, and she's already implemented that from going outside of the parish. Talking about she's going to get this 50 to 100 people to fix the crime. She's been over most of all of these boards, position, chairman of board. She's a number 2 person in position of leadership, and she weathers some of the fault that the city is in right now. So I just don't see her doing anything different than what she's been doing. But what I want to talk about is the race over there in New Orleans East. That race with Cindy Wynn and this I can't pronounce his name, for the council. I think that's a good race. I think that's one race we should look at. And also with Ms. Diggs and Mr. Willard, I think that's another good race that we should look at. It's really getting, they're putting their gloves on right now. You can see it from the sheriff's race to down to the mayor race and other council races. And Mr. Lombard has done a good job. I mean, the guy I applaud him for everything he accomplished. But what put you there and why you had to get out of there, it makes a difference. He don't have no qualification for that. I mean, a jailhouse guy that's got a paralegal degree. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I applaud him for his accomplishment, but this guy is not ready for that seat. Nor is a woman. They have no idea. And you're doing it on a motion by concept with your son. That's not what I want to vote for. I want to vote for someone that has a qualification to do what they're doing. And Mr. Lombard, Darian Lombard, has done an excellent job. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Wallace. We appreciate your call. Thanks for listening, and thank you for contributing on a regular basis as we do. Galloway, we see you on the line. You're going to have to hold on for a minute or 2 or 3 or 4. Anitra, you doing okay on time? We'd like to continue after the break if you have a few more minutes.
Sure.
Okay, wonderful. So we're going to go to break, folks, and we're going to continue with this conversation. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
What's the future for New Orleans? Will city services ever function efficiently? Our people need answers, not slogans. That's why the Nonpartisan City Services Coalition has asked the candidates for mayor how they plan to fix city government. Want to know what they said? Go to cityservicescoalition.com to see for yourself. It's time for action, not excuses. The next step is yours.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
Michelle Woodfork is New Orleans born and raised, a proud graduate of St. Mary's Academy. She earned a master's in criminal justice and rose through the ranks to become chief of police. She turned the NOPD around, reducing crime, boosting morale, and expanding recruitments. She's earned this city's trust, and as sheriff, she'll be a leader we can all be proud of. Michelle Woodfork, proven, prepared, the right choice.
Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for Sheriff.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. It is 7:50 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 8 o'clock. You've got reasonable time if you got only 5 or 7 minutes to travel, depending on how far your car is parked. But if you're taking a bus or the streetcar,
you got a problem.
Yeah, maybe you better make a call or send a note, send a text. All right, we are having a conversation with Anitra Brown from the New Orleans Tribune, and we're talking about all things politics, New Orleans politics, and what's going on, and looking at it from our black lens, our black perspective. So thank you for staying with us, Anitra. We've got a caller. Galloway, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm in Washington, D.C. right now at the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus. And I want to give a shout out to the New Orleans Tribune. First of all, I wake up every morning reading the Black Press. That article that you wrote, and I'm just so happy somebody had to say what you said about the black vote. It says our votes are not packages. They're not bulk mail. They're not in favors to be traded. They're the only true leverage we have in a system that otherwise has little interest in our survival. When we allow them to be brokered away by a handful of gatekeepers, we shrink our own power. Thank you so much, Ms. Brown, for whoever wrote that article. This is so true. And here at the CBC, I've been telling people, do not forget about the South. I'm telling you, we have in Louisiana, 38% of the state is black. New Orleans is a majority black city. And I believe that we are really willing, some of us are willing to sacrifice whatever for a little pat on the back or a little job or a favor to give their vote away. I want to thank the Tribune once again, because I got to go, and thank you for taking my call. But thank you for keep writing and keep telling us the truth. And I always tell black people, if you want to hear the truth, read the Black Press. Thank y'all. Have a good morning, sir.
All right. Yeah. Anitra, I think he's referring to your piece. If we don't unite, City Hall will shut us out.
Oh, I think I think he's referring to the most recent one, where the headline was, "What do black votes and first-class mail have in common?"
Oh, yeah, that one, yeah. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And apparently they can both be delivered, and we're saying, no, the black vote can't. But again, that's what when we talk about really watching and understanding what's happening, not only in this political race, right, but just politics in general, especially when you're dealing in cities where you have a large black population like we do in New Orleans. You know, there are certain gatekeepers, certain influencers who think that they have the ability to literally deliver the black vote. And all of these things help to craft this narrative that we're seeing. And we're saying the black vote is not deliverable, whatever motivated this particular person to align themselves with a certain candidate, don't think that lock, stock, and barrel, every black voter is following that. And we're really urging individual voters to understand what's happening and to exercise their rights independently of what they may see happening in the political landscape. Because, you know, it's not always what you see, it's what you don't see. What you may not understand is happening in the backdrop. So, and I could dig into the weeds on that one. The New Orleans Tribune has not been quiet about our opinion on anything that has been happening over the last several years in this city as it relates to government and politics and individuals. You know, so everything from a recall effort to an indictment, in our opinion, has been about diminishing black leadership. This city has had roughly 40 years. Roughly 40 years in a 300-plus year history of African-American leadership. So please don't try to convince us that everything that is wrong in New Orleans is because of black leadership. And so we are attacking those narratives, and we are really calling on the people of this city to understand what's happening and to vote accordingly. There is no reason for black New Orleanians to be so ready to throw up their hands and relinquish whatever political agency we still maintain in New Orleans.
Yeah, and the headline on that one was, what do black votes and first-class mail have in common? And I won't read the whole thing because people should pick up the paper and go online and check out the New Orleans Tribune, but I will read this part. That is, unless black voters in New Orleans finally draw the line and say, we are not for delivery, we are not for sale, we are not bargaining chips. And there's much more to that piece. So, hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
There's something in the background. I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
there's something in the background now. Yeah, guys, I'm sorry.
No problem. Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay.
All right. So I just read that that line from the piece, the most recent piece, and so what's your take? Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm trying to go to a quiet place.
Okay. All right.
There's been some activity where I'm at.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Hey, life be life.
Life be life.
Life be lifing.
I got 7 grandkids. Trust me, I knew.
All right, no problem, no problem. So before we let you go, to play off of this delivery of black votes, as you see it, one of the things we have that I see is that we have U.S. Congressman Troy Carter, we have former U.S. Congressman Cedric Richmond. We have District Attorney Jason Williams. We have Devontae Lewis, Public Service Commissioner, and there are others supporting Helena Moreno. We have a number of folks supporting Royce Duplessis, including Ron Hubbard and Louis Charbonnet, Coop, Tips, Soul, and Vote as well. And there's certainly other organizations. So from your perspective, how do these endorsements play with the community as you all cover it?
Sure. I mean, so at the end of the day, like I said before, endorsements or just what they are, we urge people to make even our endorsement. When we make an endorsement, we still urge you to dig into the facts, to understand what this person represents, what have they already done, because that's the best indicator of what you're going to do in the future. If the last 4 years of your time on city council has been about diminishing the office of the mayor of New Orleans, then, maybe you shouldn't be the mayor of New Orleans. But, and so, again, endorsements have their place, but we can't allow that to be the end all for black voters, especially.
So what do you see as the strength of Coop, Soul, Tips, and Bowl at this stage versus 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
So, I mean, if you're looking 10, 20 years ago, it can be argued that none of those organizations hold the same weight that they may have held 20 or 30 years ago. It just depends on, what you, if that's your group, then you think it has a lot of weight. And if it's not, if you haven't been aligned in that way politically, so I don't put a lot of weight. Me personally, I don't put a lot of weight in the ability that these organizations have, especially today. If you go to the average voter, particularly under the age of 40, and ask them about any of these organizations, if they have not been politically active, they may not even know what Life or Bold or Cool or Vote is. So they have their place, but I don't think that they hold the same weight that they may have held in a decade ago or 2 decades ago.
And in the case of an incumbent congressman, a former congressman, a DA, how much weight does that hold?
So this is what I say. And again, let me be clear, no slight against any of our elected officials.
Yep.
But generally, my opinion is this. I don't know what that conversation was. I don't know what the conversation, and I don't care who you've endorsed. I still don't know, as an independent voter, what the conversation was that led to that decision. What I do know and understand about politics is that there was a back and forth, a meeting of the minds, and something was on the table, but I wasn't there. And so I hope that voters don't allow the fact that this person may have been endorsed by a sitting congressman or a sitting district attorney or a leader in the Democratic Party. I hope that voters are astute enough to know that, okay, I don't know the behind-scene dealings. I don't know what was happening when that decision was made, but I still have to make the best decision for me, my family, my community. And that decision may or may not be aligned with that endorsement. We have to encourage voters to do their own homework and to not rely so heavily. And that includes the endorsement of the New Orleans Tribune. And I know that we have some dedicated readers and followers who are waiting for us to announce who we're endorsing. But I encourage voters to do homework, to understand that the decision they make has to be the best one for them and their community and their families, and do not put that much stock into those endorsements.
Chief has one thing real quick, and we have to go to break, and we certainly appreciate your time.
One of the things that is the difference between then and now with those political groups, a lot of their methodology is superannuated and obsolete because of the event of social media. So the social media platforms now have a greater influence on getting the message out. So that's all I want to say.
You're absolutely correct, Chief. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Anitra Brown from the New Orleans Tribune. If you have not taken a look at recent New Orleans Tribune, they're on fire. So you might
Please
want to
follow us online at www.theneworleanstribune.com. We are on Facebook, we are on X, and we are on Instagram.
All right. Well, you keep doing what you do, and telling us what somebody's got to say.
Somebody has to say it. You can count on us to do it.
All right. So
thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. You're listening to WBLK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. That was a great conversation with Anitra Brown from the New Orleans Tribune. You got something to say, let us hear it. 504-582-9422. You're listening to WBLK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans. Join New Schools for New Orleans, All-State Sugar Bowl, and Entergy New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 4th annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. The gala will take place Saturday, November 1st at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. This year's gala will feature New Orleans legend DJ Jubilee. Don't miss out on this intimate celebration supporting our New Orleans public school teachers. Tickets can be purchased on our website, newschoolsforneworleans.org.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with BIN News Now. President Trump says, quote, radical left rhetoric, end quote, is behind the deadly shooting at an ICE facility in Texas. The president went on to blast, quote, dumb people on the left, end quote, like Black Representative Jasmine Crockett of Texas for spreading out of control hate. One person died and 2 more are in critical condition after the shooter opened fire on the ICE facility. The Fed said that in one note, allegedly written by the gunman, said that ICE agents were collecting a, quote, dirty paycheck.
He hoped his actions would terrorize ICE and interfere with their work, which he called human trafficking.
The Trump administration is pulling $65 million in federal grants from New York City, Chicago, and Fairfax, Virginia magnet schools, affecting many kids, including many black kids. They're accused of violating civil rights laws pertaining to transgender and diversity and equity programs. Get BIN News Now on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. It is 8:06 a.m. Got somewhere to be for 8:15. You probably can make it, but if it's 8:30, you got a better chance.
Much better.
Much better chance. But as always, we want them to drive safely. Don't we want them to drive safely, Chief?
Oh, very much so. The children are out there.
Yeah, so watch those school zones. One of the things I hate when this has happened. Hasn't happened often, but I get a darn speeding ticket in a school zone. It's like, oh, man. I mean, not a school zone. It's like, because I don't want to hurt any of the babies. Yes. I don't want to. I try to be extra careful.
And sometimes you're only going like 22, but that's still over the limit.
Yeah, it's over the speed limit, All right. Well, we had a great conversation with Anitra Brown from New Orleans Tribune. You all make sure you check them out at theneworleanstribune.com and get the paper where you can pick it up if you like to hold it in your hands. We've got a caller on the line. Pop Jones, good morning, Pop.
Oh, good morning, Chief.
How you doing, sir?
And
good morning.
Excuse me. They might say, well, Pop Jones keep coming up with the same old thing.
No.
Let me run this by you, my short story. I went in the military very young. I couldn't vote. Carrying an M1 rifle. I could not vote until I got out the military because I wasn't 21. Now, I know the history of my people, and we would have never got out of slavery if we would be doing what we're doing right now. A lot of us. Now, I believe in my heart and mind, we could have solved a lot of our problems yesterday. And anybody that's got any kind of common sense or can look at what's going on, we getting politicians in office, we know that don't care nothing about us, ain't going to do nothing to help us, and ain't got nothing to do with color. And still, we making excuses why, well, they ain't going to do nothing. They're doing the same. But even when you put them in office, you don't even hold their feet to the fire. What are you doing, man? What are you doing, lady?
Well,
help us.
Pop, that's one of the things that we espouse to here. The greatest indication on how someone's going to be in a position is how have they been in a position prior to that, and what type of political record they have, whether they've been in politics or whether they've just been community activists. What has been important to them? What type of programs have they supported? What type of impact that have they made on, especially at the people at the bottom of the socioeconomic scale, the people that need the help the most. So you are very, very sagacious when you bring that up. That what have you done in the past? Would you agree with that?
Yes. Let me say this, Chief. I don't get around like I used to anymore. But when Paul and John was on the station, I used to be at all. In fact, I can't get a T-shirt now because I gained some weight. But I used to be around with when Paul and John, every time they had something. I have a problem. We got the only station that's giving us everything. It look like where's the support for WBOK? Look how you got to be begging them, saying the same thing every day. Support this black station. That's where you're going to get the truth. That's where you're going to get everything that's going on. Man, that's all we got. Why we got to be begging? They got people got money galore, and why we have to, in other words, like I said, we could have solved a lot of our problems yesterday. Go out there and vote. Then when you vote, hold their feet. I don't care what color they are. What have you done for me lately? What you doing? No, don't come and then stay in there 4 years and come back again. Vote for me again. You ain't did nothing.
No, you absolutely,
All right.
you're absolutely right, Pop. You know, that's when I was talking to Anitra. You know, I said, you know, when you look at a campaign, look how the campaign is run. You know, where the dollars that the campaign's getting, where is it going? Like you said, you know, we have advertisement here at WBOK.
Oh,
what candidates
yes,
are using
indeed.
WBOK to get their message out? And that's very important.
Right.
All right.
They don't even come. They come on when you give it to them for free.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Pop. We appreciate you
All right,
listening. I'm glad you've returned home from your travels over the last 3
Oh
weeks
yeah,
or so.
God
Well,
bless them.
I'm sure you had an
I can't do all that darkness
visit.
from Mississippi
Yep.
on the highway.
All
man.
right. Okay.
Peace
Thanks a lot,
out.
Pop. We got another caller. Good morning, Cedric. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, my brothers, and to the producers, my Purple Night brother. I tell you, it is so appropriate for me to call after Papa Jones. Papa, thank you. You know, Papa, you always say, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, nor am I. But thank you for your service. Thank you for what you've done to all of the elderly in our community. This is why it's important for a 53-year-old black man like myself to go out and exercise my right to vote. And if God blesses me with air to breathe in, tomorrow I will be early voting. Tomorrow, early voting. To our listening audience, or to whoever's listening, think about your grandparents, your great-grandparents. Think about yourself. Think about your children, your grandchildren, your future children. Think about the elderly people in your neighborhood. Think about all that you and your family had to endure, or what you may have watched your neighbor or your church member go through and overcome. You know, and we have to change the chance now simply to change the old Negro hymn from "we shall overcome" to we have made the choice and we are going to overcome. This is not the time to give up on black leadership. It is not the time. New Orleans is known as the city that care for God, but why have we making the choice to become the city that has made the choice to forget to care? Nevertheless, saving our city is on us. Thank you all. Thank you, WBOK. Thank you, Tribune. Thank you for all of us who have not given up on us in this political season, in these United States, in this state of Louisiana. The state of black people in New Orleans is we should not give up on qualified black people running. Lastly, if you looked at the debate last night, Ms. Moreno, all she said was pretty much, I'm going to get legislative auditors. When you are ahead of the legislative branch of government, there's no excuse for that. Y'all have a great weekend.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cedric. Always appreciate you calling in, and we also appreciate you listening on our radio show. The Good Morning Show is here for you. You all hear our voices, but we really love to hear yours. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. We've got another call. Beverly, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. This is Beverly McKenna.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm the publisher of the New Orleans Tribune. Just wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed your interview with Anitra and so many important points that were made. However, I think the most important things that we can remind your audience or our audiences of is to go vote. You know, in these previous elections with the gubernatorial and so forth, black people haven't gone to vote. 30%? If we don't go to the polls and vote, we know what's going to happen. So that's something, so you have to emphasize that. we have to make this clear to our audience as yours and ours over and over again to simply go vote. I think people know the issues. They know it's important. And I'm unapologetic when I say we have good choices. We have good African-American choices. We can't give up control of City Hall now. But please, if we don't go vote, we know what's going to happen.
Well, you said a lot in just those few words, I have to say. You know,
Okay.
we're watching some of these things happen across the nation with, multiple cities. And
Right.
we've had a very rich history since 60s, 70s with African-American leadership in the city of New Orleans. So many things have changed for the better. Have we been in a situation where we wish some people would have done better? Sure. But that does not mean that next person up can't do better and stretch us in ways that we didn't think that we could be stretched.
Well, I think we've done well. I have make no apologies for what we've done. There have only been 5 black mayors in the history of the city. And we have done a lot. All of our mayors have done a lot. While the mainstream media, this woman who had launched her campaign, this current mayoral campaign was launched on the back of the mayor, our current mayor, making her look bad. Everything she did, every day you picked up a paper, our Mayor Cantrell, black female mayor. So they stirred up a lot of controversy and a lot of negativity in our community. We have to push that aside. Come together. We have to be unified. We can't tear each other down, and then go vote. And that's what I have to say.
Very good. So when can we expect the New Orleans Tribune endorsement?
Oh, we'll be coming next week.
Next week.
Soon.
Okay,
Mhm.
wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay,
so
thank
much
you.
for calling, being a part of the show today, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we're going to be going to break in a minute. Let me make sure that you have the talk line number, WBOK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Speaking of Mayor LaToya Cantrell, one of the questions that the candidates have been asked is, what has Mayor Cantrell done well? What part of her administration's initiatives would you keep? And we're going to hear from the candidates. We're going to hear their answers to that question. We have an African-American female mayor. Her term is ending, and someone will follow her as a successor in January based on the October 11th election or the November 15th election. We're going to take one more call. We're going to have to go to break, and we're going to be hearing from Kelvin Luster with Home Bay. Taking the call. Yes? No? All right. Good morning. Good morning, Jeannie.
Good morning, Ms. Jones. Yes. Yes. Can't emphasize enough. Vote, vote, vote. And don't let what was said, because anybody who having any bad records before serve time. People are apologetic. That person is apologetic, so don't let that waver or blind you. This is a predominantly black African Americans live in the city. You always say our culture, which is being stolen and everything else is just changed. But vote, vote. And all those who are planning on going, take somebody with you. Discuss the matters. Don't sit back and wait. We did it, and look who's sitting in the state capitol. Indeed, it's very important. Yes, people died for this right. And people are dying now while it's being taken away. So each one who listening audience, tell 10. Tell those 10 to tell 10. Get out there and vote. And lastly, that amendment, nothing much is being said on it. Could somebody tell more and explain?
All righty.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Jones. We always appreciate your call. Thank you for listening, and thank you for adding to the message that we continue to push to be registered and to vote. More of us vote, more of us can have an impact on what our government does and does not do. But we very much can influence and change things with voting. The governor got elected with a straight vote of more than 50% because a lot of us did not vote. That's why that happened. That is why that happened. He got out his vote, and a bunch of us said, I'm not going to vote. And so we got what we got. And 30%, 30% is not a high voter turnout, but because it was an off-election cycle, March 29th, and it was expected to be in single digits or low double digits, we defeated 4 constitutional amendments because more of us got out to vote. So that is something that we have to be paying attention to. The early voting starts tomorrow, September 27th, and continues until October 4th. And following up on what Beverly McKenna said about our incumbent mayor, the mayoral candidates have been asked about Mayor Cantrell. And we're going to play a clip from the Times-Picayune, NOLA.com debate when the mayoral candidates, 4 of them, State Representative Royce Duplessis, Republican candidate Frank Janusa, City Council Vice President Helena Moreno, and City Council member for District E, Oliver Thomas, were asked that very question. So take a listen.
Councilmember Moreno, we'll start there. And it's kind of the flip side of that last question. Campaigns to replace longtime incumbents are usually focused on change, and this, of course, is no exception. But is there anywhere where you think Mayor Cantrell has gotten things right and where you see yourself staying the course?
Absolutely. With the New Orleans Health Department, there have been a lot of really great initiatives that I have partnered with the Cantrell administration and with Dr. Jennifer Avegno. Some of them actually happen to be initiatives that I partnered also with AARP on, and this has to do with taking care of vulnerable populations after Hurricane Ida. After Hurricane Ida, myself and members of the health department were at different independent senior facilities where the owners had just abandoned those buildings and left seniors there. So myself and others, we helped to evacuate these seniors from these buildings. And myself and Dr. Avegno said never again would we allow for the owners of these facilities to just be able to just leave like this and not be held responsible. So we passed an ordinance to ensure that the responsibility would lie on the owners of these senior apartment living centers so that they too would have responsibility for the citizens who are there. And then also with the New Orleans Health Department, we have been able to expand domestic violence services beyond what any parish is doing. And this has to do with a program called the AIR program. And this deploys social workers to every victim of domestic violence so that victims understand what the process is to ensure that they are protected and also what it will look like going through the criminal justice system. And we have found this to be incredibly beneficial as far as making sure that victims and their children are safe through these difficult times.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Thomas.
Crisis management, when you look at some of the response and collaboration after Hurricane Ida and in response to COVID, you'll see that the city was in a much better position moving forward with extreme caution and the care in terms of how we came out of those issues and how we came through those issues. Also, I agree with Councilmember Moreno, work of the Health Department, the work with the Family Justice Center. As the author of the city's first domestic violence law, a lot of people don't really realize it was a male elected official who passed that first ordinance. Working with disparaged families, some of the work that Nate Fields and the outreach work that has been done with the homeless population and coordinating with Unity and other providers, and the cultural office to put our culture bearers where they deserve to be, not on the bottom of the economic chain, not on the bottom of our society, but our culture and our tradition is the thing that attracts people from all over the world, putting them 1A and 1B. Because without our culture, we really don't have the city. We don't attract 20 to 17 million visitors from around the world. So I think she's done a good job in that area by give crisis management and giving that community their rightful place.
Okay, thank you, Senator DePlessis.
When I was first elected to the legislature in 2018, I was assigned to the Ways and Means Committee. In 2019, the Cantrell administration came to Baton Rouge, and we worked in collaboration with the Orleans delegation, the tourism industry, the governor at the time, Governor Edwards, to do something that had never been done before, which was to increase the revenue share that the city of New Orleans obtained through all of the revenue that we generate. Every single New Orleanian, whether you're wealthy, whether you're not wealthy, whether you're from uptown, downtown, across the canal or the cutoff, has a question. What happens to all of the money that we generate as a city? There were a lot of people who said it couldn't be done. The Cantrell administration was very successful in increasing that revenue share, getting tens of millions of dollars sent to Sewage and Water Board and more of what the city takes home. Certainly, we wanted more and wanted to do more, and we're going to continue to do more, but I think that's something that certainly should be celebrated because many mayors prior to that were not able to do it. I also think the mayor did a very strong and good job of saving lives during COVID. Very difficult decisions had to be made. Working in collaboration with Dr. Jennifer Avegno, lives were saved. And that was a strong move and strong leadership. And I think it also has to be pointed out that at this particular time that we're in, as we're having this discussion, crime in New Orleans is at a historic low in many areas. So those are some of the things that I would say this administration has done well.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Janusa.
The Cantrell administration did a fabulous job with regard to the Super Bowl and did a commendable job with regard to the terrorist attack on New Year's Day. However, there are issues that I have with regard to the funding that comes into the city of New Orleans, which is why I indicate to the voters that it will take a CPA to unwind the city's finances, to reduce that bonded indebtedness, and to get the budget in balance. Now, with regard to budgetary issues and cultural issues and the culture bearers, I had the opportunity last week to go to the Jazz Museum at the old U.S. Mint and visit with members of the Ella Project. And one of the things that I indicated that I would have created in the city is the Office of Cultural Entrepreneurship, so that those culture bearers, those artists, those musicians, those culture bearers of whatever ilk can learn to run their craft as a business and therefore have a much more enjoyable and much more balanced quality of life.
Thank you.
You heard candidates' answers to what has Mayor Cantrell done well, and so take that into consideration as you consider your votes, that which you can cast as early as tomorrow, Saturday, September 27th. Early voting starts, and it will end on October 4th. But let me tell you a little secret. Voting's already started. Did you know that? Voting's already started. Yep. Voting has already started. There are people who have already voted. So they're not waiting for Election Day. They're not waiting for early voting to start tomorrow on the 27th until October 4th. So how did they do that? Mail ballots, people. You can request a mail ballot, and you don't have to wait for early voting. You can request a mail ballot in advance of the election, in advance of the early voting, and you can return it. You do not have to wait until the deadline of October 10th to send it back and make sure that they receive it. So somebody could have requested their mail ballot and turned it in 2 weeks ago. Not a lot of people, because a lot of people don't think about it that way. Well, I'm telling you, that is possible. Okay. So We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to have Calvin Luster from Home Bank talking with us about financial literacy. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@wbok1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
New Orleans is stuck, while career politicians like J.P. Morrell aren't fighting for our community. I'm Pastor Gregory Manning, running for City Council at Large in Division 2. Our community is my top concern because when our community rises, the whole city rises. I will fight to eliminate Entergy late fees, stop cutoffs during the summer heat and winter cold, and put people before profit. On October the 11th, let's get New Orleans unstuck. Vote Pastor Gregory Manning for City Council at Large, Division 2, ballot number 32, paid for by Friends of Gregory Manning.
Hear that? For too long, fixing our streets and drainage has only meant inconvenience and empty promises. This is Matthew Willard. I'm running for Council at Large, Division 1, to really fix our city so we spend less time dodging potholes and street flooding and more time cheering on the Saints. As a state legislator, I've proven I can deliver. At City Hall, I'll build on that record. Paid for by the Matthew Willard campaign.
Michelle Woodfork is New Orleans born and raised, a proud graduate of St. Mary's Academy. She earned a master's in criminal justice and rose through the ranks to become chief of police. She turned the NOPD around, reducing crime, boosting morale, and expanding recruitments. She's earned this city's trust, and as sheriff, she'll be a leader we can all be proud of. Michelle Woodfork, proven, prepared, the right choice.
Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for sure.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. This is WBOK 1230 AM. I am Will Sutton, and with me is Eddie Compass, and we are very happy to have Calvin Luster back with us from Home Bank. Our friend Calvin! Talking about all the things, financial literacy, financial health, and tell us some more. You were here before. We're happy to have you back again. Why is financial literacy so important?
Well, thank you first, Mr.
Sutton. Let me say to all the WBOK family, good morning. Good morning, New Orleans. Thank you for giving Home Bank a opportunity as well as to share the platform that means so much to our community here. So I'm excited to be here to really wrap up a 3-part series that we've been doing, Will and I and some of the former co-hosts on financial education, financial literacy. We started out on why does the importance of credit. We talked about credit and visibility, and then today's gonna wrap up will be on why financial literacy is important. Just a little bit on the housekeeping. We are a member FDIC and equal housing lender. That aside, let's talk banking. Financial literacy just out the gate is important. You can really, if you flip it on its head, it's important because it's a part of everything that we do. We have a tendency to wait and look at finances when things are going south, going bad, and that's not a good habit. You know, you have to be intentional and have to be deliberate about finances. The word wealth building and riches and all that are trend words now, but we've been locked out of that for centuries. Decades now, and moving into almost now a new year, it's time for us to be deliberate, intentional about finances. So it's important. It's so important that states are now requiring it to be a requirement for graduations. I'm proud that Louisiana is one of those over 25 states that requires financial literacy, at least one course to be taken before you graduate college to be eligible for TOPS. So they see the importance of that. We have too many stories in our community of those who are blessed and given opportunities to earn extreme amounts of money. And then when those careers kind of come to an end, we hear tragic stories that they are financially poor. And we don't want that for our young people. We don't want that to be the narrative of our community. So Home Bank understands that importance. We have a responsibility to make sure that our community is educated and that they know what we know. You don't have to be a banker to know what we know.
Yeah, so I'm going to chime in on that because just last night, my wife and I had the opportunity to see Raphael Sadiq, Tony,
yes.
All of that, okay. But one of the stories he told, well, first of all, you go in there, they snap your phone so you can't take pictures and you can't record. Because he was like breaking it down. He was breaking it down. It was like an autobiographical presentation of music as opposed to a show.
Yeah.
But one part, he talked about his finances.
Look at
and
that.
He talked about wanting to be successful and then reaching a point where he's making millions of dollars. And because he had trusted some people, one had stolen about $450,000.
Oh, wow.
Another,
wow,
$6 million.
Wow.
So talk about extreme amounts of money.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be at that level to pay attention in the ways that you're talking about because you don't want something like that to happen. I mean, I doubt that in my next 30 to 40 years, I'm 70, I'm planning to be here.
Come on, hit
that
that bell.
I'm going to have a situation where somebody's stealing $6 million from me. But what I do have, I want to be a good steward and take care of it.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
Listen, that story right there is a testament to it can happen to anybody. That's an example of someone, like you said, has the earning ability to be in the millions annually. And so we think because, like you're saying, that's only for what we would say is rich people. No, rich is defined by how we define it. There is health. You can be rich in your health, of course, rich in your finances, rich in so many places. Finances and financial literacy is where we need to focus on the most. So what do? We can talk about some examples of bad debt, but the first and most important thing is going to always be to seek advice from an expert. The experts are going to be those in that sector, and if you hear that and think, well, I can't afford that, your bank in your community, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to do. Inside of that, those four walls, that brick and mortar, are going to be those experts that will help you if you are on the path of deciding or you're on the fence about whether or not to start a business. You need to go there and set up an appointment to speak with a banker on your business endeavors. Yes, sir.
Yeah, one thing that I found when you're talking about finances, a lot of these big financial firms, they use jargon and parlance that's acrobatic, recondite, and esoteric. The average person can't really understand and articulate it. But with a bank like yours, I think you break it down to a point where a layman and someone that's not at that level will really understand. When I say at that level, people that have been in finance in their whole life.
Right.
And a lot of times they'll use words that you don't understand. And a lot of times people feel intimidated and they are afraid to say that they don't understand.
Yes.
And they invest in things that's really not in their best interest, because when you look at from finance, and there's a lot of things where you pay up front, a front load.
Right.
And you're losing a lot of money if this doesn't break out to fruition. So you want to get into something that's uniquely, specifically
for you,
designed for you.
That's right.
And I think that's one thing that your bank does.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear that. Listen, if you are not with Home Bank, of course, we want you to bank with us. But if you are not, if you are comfortable where you are, that still does not mean that that your needs may not be being met. So whoever it is that you're choosing to do your finances with, my mom would always tell me, she said, the only thing that makes the answer important is the question. And how many times do we go into?
I'm feeling that.
Yes,
All
sir.
right on that. You don't have a copyright on that, huh?
Come on.
I'm taking
it's
that.
all you.
I'm taking that home.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll repeat it. The only thing that makes the answer important is the question. So do not think that you cannot ask questions and carry that across every area of your life as well. When you're at the doctor, so many times we're holding back things that affect our health, that describing our pain is hard to do, even at a doctor's office. So on the flip of that, on the finance side, in the bank, don't just go in and do your transaction. If you have questions about future for your grandkids, if you're trying to establish something again, if you're scaling a business and you're thinking, well, maybe next year it'll look a little different on the business front, I'll try it then. No, now is the time to jump in.
Explain how important it is to have a diversified portfolio in the times we live in. Because when you look at the economic impact that certain political things have upon your money, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So explain the complexity, but really the simplicity of getting a diversified portfolio.
Okay, look, I love that. Thank you for that question, because when I say we, particularly in the Black and brown communities, we think of retirement being Social Security and whatever goes in and out of maybe if you're fortunate to be one of those industries that have a pension or some form. And so
declining.
Very right. So in that space, we're thinking that's what we're kind of looking at. So to your question about diversified portfolio, what you're saying, when I hear that, I'm thinking, how do I live comfortably when I am at a point in my life that I want to stop working? So diversifying that will be, what assets are you going to live off of as you age gracefully throughout the rest of your life? Does that, so in addition to whether it was Social Security, a pension, a 401k, or whatever, if you have started out in your journey on home ownership and you are now toward the approaching the retirement age, is your home paid off? Why does that matter? Because that asset is something you would be able to draw from, pull from, if you are in need of a run across some form of financial emergency. If you have things such as stocks, bonds, things that you don't necessarily have to touch, but if you're able to afford to put some things away financially and let it kind of do its thing over time, then when you're ready to look at that and pull on that, then that's available. If you are, new opportunities now are going to be things in the stock market. I know that sounds complicated, and it is. I've been in banking 20 years, and I don't know all of the answers on that front. But what I do know is those that I see that are considered what we would call rich, wealthy, not worried about finances, I like to ask, what is it that you're doing? because clearly you're doing something that's allowing you to get to that point in your life that you're comfortable around financing as well as retirement. So from there, again, going back to broadening your vocabulary, we've been told so many times that just like diversifying a portfolio to be able to live long and reduce stress financially, who in your circle of friends, so to speak, how diverse is that? Do you have a banker in your friend group? If you're an educator, and shout out to all of our teachers for all of the hard work that they do, but in your group of friends, if everybody's an educator, that's not a diverse group of friends. You need to be able to feed yourself with the knowledge of everything that's surrounding you on a day-to-day basis. And that consists of finances, education, your career choice, whether it's sports and so forth.
You know, I always espouse to the rule of 72. You're familiar with that? Whatever interest rate you get in 7.2 years, say if you're getting 10% on, say, $1,000, you get 10% of that $1,000 in 7.2 years, that $1,000 turn to $2,000. But then if you get another 7.2, that $2,000 turn to $4,000. So for $1,000 investment, you basically quadruple your money. But when you're a younger person, you have to look at things and look at these mutual funds that have had long-term success. And if you put your mutual fund in the right position, you can become rich very quickly with really a small amount of money.
Oh yeah, there's an opportunity right now for all the parents of young kids and kids that are rolling or really approaching college in this particular season in their life. There is a grant opportunity for. It's not for young kids, it's for anyone. It's a home ownership opportunity, really. But I targeted to our young generation just because, as we know, home ownership is going to be the most expensive asset, but it's also going to be the one that gives you the most. It's going to always be a appreciating asset. So there's a grant opportunity for those that are of a certain income level that will allow them to cover all closing costs and down payment assistance. So why do I share that? There's nowhere written that you have to go from your parents' home to an apartment, or you have to go from your parents' apartment to an apartment before you get to a home. Right. We have an opportunity now, right now, to be able to give our young people, as well as those who have not had the opportunity for home ownership, to gain access into that market and be able to use it. Because owning a home is one thing. And as we all know, owning a home, that's the easy part. There's so many opportunities for closing costs and down payment assistance from the state, from the parish, from your community bank or your financial institution, even your employer. If you're not in finances, they offer some form of assistance. So closing costs used to be the biggest hurdle. That's not it. It's maintaining the home and then getting to the point of paying it off and then understanding how to use that asset. So it can be used at all stages of life. Not just once it's paid off and then you tap in it. They use it.
Yes, sir.
They use it. So just like they can use it, we can use it. So it's important that if you are wanting the best for your kid, but you're not understanding how to get there, speak to your banker about opportunities for home ownership. If you are a parent that is looking for just that. Just a little assistance in achieving that goal, speak to your bank about that opportunity for home ownership as well.
We're in conversation with Calvin Luster, Senior Vice President and Director of Community Development at Home Bank, talking about financial health, financial literacy, and all the things that go into factoring to make sure that you have a future of success with a strong financial foundation. It is 8:50 a.m. You got to be somewhere at 9. We want you to keep staying tuned, but we want you to be safe, drive safely on your way to wherever you got to go. And what about that speed limit, Chief?
Well, you're still on it, but we got most of the kids in class, but you got to watch for those stragglers.
All right, if you got something new, ask Mr. Luster about. Give us a call, 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. So how can people assess whether a particular financial product is the right one for them?
Love that question. Because all financial institutions basically have all the same products, but we all differ in in some forms. There's each product has its own nuances. So in order to really know exactly if you're in a right product, if you are sitting on something, a lot of us don't even realize the assets that we hold and really don't know how to maximize those. So again, it starts with the conversation. Before you can be in demand. Let's come in. Let's set up an appointment. Let's speak to a banker. Let's fill out a document that we often hear called personal financial statement, things like that, just to kind of put it all on paper. I'm a pencil and paper man. I'm from Mississippi.
Me too.
Okay.
I'm not from Mississippi. I'm pencil and paper.
Yes, sir. I need to see it on paper to be able to then assess what I have, to then be able to see from there, okay, if we do, here's a scenario to be able to give you your best option. Yes, sir.
All right. So what types of things do you suggest for those of us who have, let's just say, multiple debts?
Come on. So
not the one or two, but,
Yeah.
That situation.
Absolutely. So addressing multiple debts, you do that with, again, if you were one way to do that is looking at what you would have that you own to be able to kind of offset what we're trying to do. Another one is I always like to just address it through the credit side. So if you are establishing credit, but you have known, we talked about credit invisible on the last segment. What makes you credit invisible? Nothing in your name, being young really and not having an opportunity to go into credit. Our first experiences, a lot of us with accessing capital is really our with the credit card. That's not always may not necessarily be the right thing to do, but when you're trying to build credit, establish credit, our first experiences tend to be a credit card. Well, in the banking space, we have products that help you to build credit without your first experience being something with a very, very high interest rate. At Home Bank, we call it a credit builder loan. It's a loan that will allow you, not based on credit, because in this scenario, you don't have it. You would be able to still borrow against or take a loan based on how much you can afford. And then that amount is then put away into a savings account for you. You don't have access to it yet because you have not established your credit history. So whatever that amount is that you've established that you can afford, we put it in a savings account for you. And then over a period of time, 12 months, 18 months, you're making payments. And at the end of that term, you then have access to the amount that you applied for.
So you're helping the customer get control of the situation.
Yes, love that.
Providing some structure.
Yes, sir.
And it's like, okay,
yes,
stick with us. We're sticking with you.
That's right.
And this will go away.
Yes, sir. That's the perfect way to say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's basically, you guys have solved the Rubik's Cube, the proverbial bureaucratic quagmire. They always tell you need good credit. Well, you can't get the money without the credit. Well, I got to get the credit to get the money.
Right.
It's like they tell you when you're going for a job, well, you need experience for this job. Well, if you don't give me the job, I can't get the experience.
Right.
So it's like a excuse not to help young people, especially young African American people from the bottom of the socioeconomic scale. So what you guys are doing is basically uplifting the entire generation.
Yes, sir.
And that is what the purpose, in my opinion, of what a bank should be.
Yeah.
To help those people establish themselves to become productive citizens and become loyal customers.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, small things matter. And I love what you just said, the access to opportunities. That's why so many nonprofit partners in our communities that do all kind of great work that allow us to give opportunities to especially Black and brown kids in our community to have internships. Have opportunities to get access to experience. Not every job is going to always have an opening, but are you willing to not be paid to gain that experience, like you're saying, so that you can have access to that space that you're trying to get in? That's no different on the finance side and with banking. The small steps matter. In order to get to that big thing that you're aiming for, be willing to make the small steps and sacrifices first.
All right. So what habits do more financially confident people do? So let's say, hey, I went off to college. Everybody throwing these credit card opportunities. It looks good. Get something in my own name. I start spending. I buy the furniture for the apartment. I buy this. I buy that. Oh, let's have a little trip. Let's have a little trip. You know, it starts adding up. But then as you mature, whether that's into your late 20s or even your 30s, and you're like, okay, I got to get control of this. What are some of the things that positively confident financial people do?
Yes. So the great thing about life, and especially if you're able to be blessed with long life, you see things in cycles. So if you're young, just the way you described, as you were talking, my mind went back to college and me receiving my first credit card and literally did what you said. Just it was like, wait, what? I have a what limit? And it's your first taste at financial freedom in your mind. Like, this is it, without thinking consequences of either paying slow or not paying at all, or just thinking it'll never come back to haunt me, so to speak, because they knew I was young. They shouldn't have gave it to me. So all of that is like the logic and the thinking of a young college student.
In the trap, 1% for the first 6 months, then 27% after that. We don't read that fine print.
Right. That's so true. So true. So what are the habits? Is once you've enjoyed that hot boy, hot girl moment, and you done had your fun, and now you realize this is an adult responsibility. Your finances is your responsibility for your existence of your life. And so good habits will always be budgeting. We have a tendency to not budget, and we do the fun thing first. And so, what's up, Justin? We do the fun thing first. But creating good habits such as paying ourselves as well. Yes, you have to put away for that rainy day, that emergency, whether that is inside of a 401k, whether that is in a savings. Pay yourself first, always, and then of course all of your responsibilities. What is left over is what you have to really. However you choosing to enjoy your life throughout or till you receive your next source of income. But good habits will always get you to your goals. Budgeting is going to always be that one of those strong keys to get you there.
All right. Well, we're going to have to wrap up because we got another show coming up.
All right.
We got Kimba and Graylin coming up with the Front Porch. Thank you very much, Kelvin, for coming back and
yes, sir.
Enlightening our audience. I feel like I've made so much progress to get to the point where I am. But yet when you come, it's like, oh,
we're going to get it.
I got to think about that. So how can people contact you?
Absolutely. Say, if you're in our New Orleans market, we are 6 locations. Just look us up on home24bank.com. I office out of Baton Rouge. So if there's anyone looking to do anything on home repairs, moving into home ownership, give me a call, email me. I'll be happy to get you there and connect you to those partners so that we can, again, achieve the goal of home ownership. Is always number one. But most importantly, secondly, is making sure you have a great relationship with your financial institution. We hope that you choose to do it with Home Bank.
Wonderful. Well, we've had quite a show today. Want to thank Reverend Wallace Galloway, Beverly McKenna for calling in. And particularly, a big shout out and thank you for Anitra Brown from the New Orleans Tribune for enlightening us and giving us that black perspective on the campaigns and politics and what's going on in New Orleans. We see you out there on Facebook, Andrew, Shedrick, Martin, Karen, Paul, Fern, and I know there's some other folks, but we thank you for tuning in and watching us. Hope we look presentable today. And upcoming next is The Front Porch with Graylin and Kemba. You're listening to WBLK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.